What's up, everyone? Joe Gray here today with another AMA warm-up. Today, I'm joined by my dude Derek from multiple companies, which we'll get into in a second. Derek, what's up, man?
How's it?
It's good, dude. It is
Appreciate you, appreciate
what?
you, appreciate you taking the time and being willing to chat.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to it. The weather's great here today, so the only complaint I have is that the mosquitoes are all over the freaking place. But you live in Hawaii, correct? So,
I am currently based in Hawaii, but
yeah.
but don't get it twisted. I grew up in Canada,
Okay.
near the Red River and the Assiniboine River. I know all about mosquitoes.
Yeah. So we are. I'm just north of the rice fields, and so
Mm.
the rivers run through, and the mosquitoes that come in the like not quite spring yet kind of thing, or like they bite you through your clothes sometimes. So
Not
uh,
not not quite a bird, but
yeah,
close.
yeah, pretty close. So makes the decision to close the garage door sometimes a little more. Yeah, let's not die today. So, but otherwise, all good. And I'm ready to talk about some cool gym equipment stuff.
Let's
So,
go. Let's
cool.
go.
All right, man. So, first question is, who are you? Why are you here?
Great question. I'll try to keep it short. My name is Derek McCormick. Most people within the industry know me as D. People who know me on a personal level know me as Grim for a number of reasons. Being here, or more, I guess, apropos, is being in the industry. I began my fitness journey back in the late 80s, and it went from being an enthusiast to working in a gym to then opening a store and then working for a national chain and then working for manufacturers and then designing. So it's kind of that, start at the bottom and work your way up as far as the different roles. But fitness equipment especially has been a dominant factor in most of my life.
Nice. How about currently? What's that look like? Who are you, let's say, representing today?
Right. Well, most people will know me for the designs that HAVAK produces. That began, I guess, give or take about 10 years ago. I dabbled in some designing with other companies that I was working for prior, but that's when I started kind of doing my own thing. Most recently, some people may be aware that I have been named the managing director of Takeover Strength. And Takeover Strength does have an interesting history. Some people know all the facts. Some people don't know any of the facts. You know, I'm simply a part of that group because I believe in what Rich is trying to do with the products that he wants to move forward with.
Oh,
Here's a guy, older than I am, has had more challenging health issues than I have, and he has used health and fitness to help bring his life back, to take over his life from medical conditions and medications and all that stuff. I applaud that. I like that. I like to see that in people and kind of putting putting actions behind the words. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, I need to get in shape, but they never do it.
sure.
Here's a guy who, kind of faced death and he's like, you know what, I gotta make some changes. And he's made those changes. So he has that enthusiasm for the industry.
Gotcha. Cool. So the short answer for people, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is what once was Kabuki is now Takeover. Is that fair to say?
We'll break it into three steps.
Okay.
There was Kabuki Strength.
Yep.
Kabuki Strength, from what I understand, went bankrupt.
Yep.
From that bankruptcy, Kabuki Power tried to keep things
Okay.
going. Just wasn't going to happen for a lot of
Yep.
reasons. So that got basically shut down, and Takeover Strength is focused on a different market segment, taking some of the designs or IP, as it were, from Kabuki and improving them. I've had my fingers in that. Some of those designs have been licensed off to Rogue. Rogue's doing Transformer and Cadillac. And then the other stuff, no one was interested in.
Hmm.
Like the Duffalo bar was offered to different companies. They're like, nah, pass. Power
Yep.
bar, pass. So it's, you can call it a family breakup, but it's not an unfamiliar scenario in this industry if you've been in
Sure.
the industry long enough to see transitions occur.
Yeah. The power bars probably don't really surprise me just because I mean everybody's got their own power bar. Like even if Kabuki's was let's just say it was the best, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Some like if someone else admitted that, they'd have to admit that theirs wasn't as good. There's all
Well,
kinds of things that go with
yeah,
that.
and ultimately, as far as the consumer goes, it's the market that decides.
Yeah,
The market decided that company ABC survived, thrived, or demised.
yeah,
Now, if you're selling products and it's a difference between beige and light beige and eggshell
yeah,
and pearl, there's only so much business out there,
yeah,
right? So that the original Kabuki, they had some interesting designs. They were a catalyst for some change in the industry.
yep,
But like everything, if you do not evolve, you don't evolve your training, at
yep,
some point you're not going to be able to train,
yep, yep,
right?
yep. Yeah, I did a video on barbells a little bit ago, and my science experiment was I had literally spent I think it was like $27 or something on a bar from Walmart, and I only bought it because I was like, what the hell is a $27 bar, right? And I managed to squat 500 or something, deadlift 550, and bench like 315 with it or something.
Right.
And and then I put that out there and I go, look, the hardest part with bars is like what you're saying, right? There's all these shades of gray of especially if you're like it's your first time trying to pick a bar. I think Rogue sells. I did the math at one point, and it was like 78 variants of a 20 kilogram men's barbell, right?
Yeah.
And you go, all right, then they've got the women's barbells, and then they've got their specialty bars, and then X Mark, and then Fringe, and then Bells of Steel, and then, right? And so it's like there's thousands of
Yep.
barbells available. So trying to place yourself on something so specific as the best power bar is a interesting discussion in the market, I'm sure. So,
Doesn't on paper it doesn't sound like a profitable business model.
yeah,
Now, those many of the companies that you listed off, they all have other products.
yeah,
They do benches, they do racks, they do
yeah,
this, they do that. And it's uh, talking about this reminds me of Apple. Apple spends millions of dollars on producing TV shows and movies,
yeah,
but they don't have to worry about those turning a profit because they have so many other revenue streams,
yeah,
so many other things making money. Whereas if you're solely a barbell company selling a very
yeah,
specialty barbell, that's a tough road to hoe.
yeah. I think you and I have talked before in like Instagram DMs about how many American manufacturing gym equipment companies, that's like actually their second or third business. They're not like only a gym equipment manufacturer.
Yep.
Prime is a good example. Their like main thing is actually like he talked when I talked to him for his AMA was they're part of a manufacturer, like here's the manufacturing organization and then here's Prime Fitness over here in the corner,
Yep.
because him and his dad and stuff like gym equipment, so they're like, hey, maybe we could leverage what we already have is run another side business off of it,
Yeah,
which
and
is
we're able to kind of jumpstart that
yep,
with pre-existing IP
yep,
that was really cool back in the
yeah,
90s.
from Strive and stuff,
Yeah.
yep, yep, yeah, and even Go Strong, right? That's Tim's whole thing was that was a huge manufacturing company, and then he said, "Hey, I think we should make powerlifting equipment." And right, and they did for a while until he
Yep.
went, "Holy crap, this is just too much."
Yep.
So, yeah, pretty wild. So,
Yeah, I understand, and I really enjoy the passion people have for lifting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with those who are extremely passionate about any particular topic, sometimes they have the blinders on as to understanding the full reality of the full landscape of the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's if people didn't have to pay their bills, and could do anything they wanted, would they do the job that they do now?
Yep.
Would they live where they live now?
Yep.
There's choices that need to be made, and with choices, not everyone's gonna agree with them.
Yep. You ever watch The Good Place TV
Uh,
show?
no.
So they talk about that. So the group of people who end up in what's essentially heaven slash hell concept, and they're explaining to this person about the struggles of life on Earth versus why, when they move to the afterlife, they are able to grow and change and evolve. And it's exactly that, right? So it's this on Earth, you have to pay bills, and there's all these other things you got to take care of, and you're constantly trying to like, you got to take care of you, right? You get to the afterlife and you don't have bills, you don't have all this other stuff. Like, you can spend 3 weeks learning philosophy, right? Because
That
it helps you evolve as a human being. And
that kind of reminds me of Groundhog Day.
yep, yep,
Think
exact same concept. Yep,
all the things you can learn when you reliving the same
yep,
day over and over again. So
yep.
yeah, it, it's an interesting industry. It's a great industry. There's a lot of great people. Sometimes what people say versus what they do don't always align. But I've been in this game for a couple decades, and I don't see myself leaving.
Cool, I like it. All right, man. So you've been in the game for a while, so tell us about your lifting experience. Do you compete? What's that look like?
Well, I'll try to keep this somewhat condensed. Started early on with that bodybuilding style
Yeah.
training, reading the Muscle and Fitness, reading the Flex magazine, and really looking at guys like Rich Gaspari, even going back to Bill Pearl, Lee Labrada, and then as time went on, Dorian Yates. Seeing those guys and thinking that's what I want to do. So bodybuilding was the way. Did a bodybuilding show my last year of high school, and from that kind of shifted into more, say, power based type training, and then over time then started messing around with conditioning. I was one of the early lunatics wearing the training mask in a
Yeah.
commercial gym,
Okay.
and with my ophthalmic dominant hyperesthesia, which is why I got this going on. My training mask had tinted lenses,
Ah.
so it looked even crazier. Right? And then as time has gone on, and I've put on a few more miles, my training has really shifted to focus on a very initial and primary training philosophy, which I kind of call the snap, crackle, pop philosophy.
Okay.
If any movement makes my body snap, crackle, or pop, I just can't do it anymore. It's not worth the struggle.
I like it.
So some of the movements I do may seem to an outsider as unorthodox, or you're doing it wrong. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but this still allows me to lift.
Yeah.
With the miles, medical condition, the neurological issues, there are some things I just can't do because it triggers way too many issues after the fact.
Sure.
DOMS, the least of my worries.
Yeah.
But if you would have told me when I started lifting the bigger problems, I'd have a completely different viewpoint.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I have decent traps for somebody who has not done a shrug in I don't know how long, a lot of years.
Yeah.
And exact same reason is every time I do shrugs, I get horrendous headache, neck pain, all kinds of stuff. It
Yeah.
is not an exercise that likes me. I can do heavy deadlifts. I deadlifted 550 for a set of four yesterday.
Nice.
Woke up the next day, totally fine, right? My
Yeah.
hamstrings are a little sore. Otherwise, I'm good to go.
Uh-huh.
I can do heavy weighted carries. I can do all that stuff. Shrugs, hate me.
Yep.
And after a handful of times, I made the same decision, it sounds like you did, and just went, I guess I'm not doing shrugs anymore.
If you look at it this way, you cannot be friends or like everyone in the world.
Yeah.
It's just it's just not going to happen
Yep.
realistically.
Yep.
Not every movement is going to work for you either. Your
Yep.
body is going to dislike something.
Yep.
Now, whether it's a barbell shrug, a dumbbell shrug, a shrug machine, a cable shrug, bottom line is if it doesn't feel good,
Yeah.
you just don't do it.
Yep. Do you know Dante Trudeau?
Which one? Sorry.
Dante Trudeau. He runs True Nutrition. He came up with DC training.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So Dante's line is and I'm gonna butcher it a little bit. So it's you have to pick exercises that work for you that you can push and progress over time.
Yep.
And so, because he's a low volume, high intensity type of dude, beat the
Mhm.
logbook every week kind of thing. And, but even him, he's like, look, some people got to squat, some people got to not, right? Some people need
Yep.
to do leg press, and others got to do a belt squat. And then some other dudes got to do a hack squat and whatever. You got to find whatever that one is for you.
Hey, my leg routine back in the day was front squats and stiff legged deads,
Yeah.
sprinkling some sissy squats.
Yep.
That was it. And it got to the point, I got up to 28, 29-inch thighs
Yeah.
doing just that. Nothing
Yep.
fancy.
Yep.
But another analogy is shoes. Different shoes fit different
Yeah.
people. It doesn't make that shoe better or worse.
Yep.
It's got to fit.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, the shoes that I wear are some cheap, funky ones off Amazon, and it's because they're the only ones that are wide enough because I have stupidly annoying wide feet. And
You and I have the same problem.
okay, yeah, and avoiding or I have had ankle issues and feet mechanic issues my entire life. At multiple points as a kid, I had insoles because I used to run on my toes and stuff
Yeah.
in sports because I have tight Achilles tendons and all kinds of things. And so, yeah, when this is the only shoe review I've ever done, and the only one I ever plan to do. And I literally started off by saying, like, I don't plan to talk about any other shoe my entire life. I'm sharing this one because I finally found something that worked for me, and
Yeah.
somebody else is probably going to have the same problem and need this information. So here we go.
Yeah.
And I specifically said, like, if you have anything remotely close to normal feet, go buy whatever the hell you want. If you are struggling day in and day out with annoying shoes that don't fit, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yep. I hear you.
Yep. Right on. All right, man. Let's jump into number 3, which is what's your experience in the home gym community? So we know you've been around a long time, commercial gyms, etc., the whole deal. How has the home gym community been a part of that maybe in the last handful of years?
Well, interestingly, I started in the home gym market,
Oh, there you
training in my parents' basement.
go. Okay.
Started with an old York bench, which had 1-inch square tubing,
Yeah.
which was about 18 inches long or wide, rather. And I am convinced that doing dips on that is what permanently buggered my shoulders
Oh, okay.
because you're in like
Yeah.
this. So that's where I spent many years training. It was a Body Smith bench. I don't know if anybody remembers Body Smith,
Mm-hmm.
but there was the bench, had a power rack, got a lat pull down, all that stuff over time. And then started getting into the commercial market a little bit, going to Globo gyms or a Y or what have you, maybe a couple of university spots. And then as time went on, I went back to training at home.
Yeah.
And, at the moment, my setup is a couple pieces of foam and some fixed triads. Ridiculously bare bones, minimalistic, but it serves its purpose,
Yeah.
right? So I've probably trained at home way more than I've trained in commercial facilities. Now, to that point, I was a member at Gold's Gym Venice when I lived in the LA area. So I got to train and watch that kind of environment and learn things from those people, the
Yeah.
professionals that trained there, and had an opportunity to meet with, discuss, and train with other professionals over time. So most of the mileage is in the home, but I've been able to experience lifting outside of the home.
Sure. Nice. So, so we got to know what the foam. What does the foam do?
Well, the foam is my pseudo bench, which is
Okay.
really more of a floor press than anything.
Okay.
And reason being, I am pretty much 99% dedicated to only training with stuff that I design.
Okay.
And although I have a design for a bench, I haven't built one.
Okay.
So if I haven't built it, I can't use it. On the floor I go.
Okay.
And what's funny is taking that approach does get my mind thinking, what if? What if I do this? What if I do that? How do I make this work? So it almost forces me to be as creative as possible, both
Yeah.
in my workouts, but also in the designing of future products.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What is it? The creativity is from the.
Necessity is the mother of
Yeah.
invention.
There you go. Yep. 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 So
Yep.
yeah. So when you don't have something, you have to get creative around how it works and the whole deal. And yep.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Which is not what most businesses want to hear.
Yeah.
Most businesses want you to buy 3 benches, 2 power
Yeah.
racks, every attachment known to man, a specialty leg piece, a specialty shoulder piece. And I understand the appeal of all those things.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what I think sometimes happens is people get so excited about the next new shiny thing, they forget about the basics.
Yep.
Like it's wild, and this isn't meant as a dig. This is an observation. I have seen more power racks become accessory holders than actually used for powerlifting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but it
Yep.
is what it is.
Yeah. So two items off of that one. So I'll talk about the power rack one first. So the I've had people over the years because I my rack tends to stay fairly clean. It's a rack. I've got Mutant Metals. I got the snapbacks, so
Yep.
the monos for bench, set of safeties, set of J cups, and then basically the only other thing that's on there right now is I have the Voltra ones, so the smart cable piece that's on
Right.
there. Um, don't have jammers and a bunch of different things and all these other attachment pieces. And it's not that I'm against those, but I've told people I mean, I bought my rack because I wanted to lift heavy and I wanted to do it safely. And if you put like 13 different things on it, all of a sudden it's really difficult to do so, right? I can't bench, squat, and deadlift out of a small rack that has these 7 different things hanging on the left and the right and the up and the down and whatever. And I go, and that's impeding the primary purpose of what I bought the rack for, what I do in my gym, etc.
Mhm.
So, and I've had a few people go, like you said, oh, well, I use my rack mostly for accessory stuff. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you do you, but that's just a completely different
Hey, I've
mindset.
I've seen people buy $100,000 vehicles meant for off-roading to pick up groceries.
Yep.
I get it, and I'm not trying to insult them. It's
Yeah.
just for me, a lot of my decision making, whether it be in designing and how I want to try to direct takeover,
Yeah.
just in my real life, is everything has to have a purpose.
Yep.
If it doesn't have a distinct purpose, I have to wonder why I have it, why I'm
Yep.
involved in the first place.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So using a power rack to, you might as well put a rod across the top and use it to hang your laundry too.
Yep. Yep. Multi-purpose.
I get
Yeah, I have a video concept that I'm gonna do. I think it's at the end of the year, and the title is literally just gonna be like, "How much is too much home gym equipment?" And I'll go into like, how do I personally think through when I should or shouldn't add something? What's the rationale? When do I keep it, etc. And the the basic thought process in my head is so I use Dante's concept, right? Exercises that work for you. So a good example would be like, I don't personally like barbell RDLs. They hurt my back. No matter what I do, uh, to load them up heavy enough to be effective, my back hurts. I don't
Yep.
know why. Maybe it's a technique thing. I've tried, not a fan.
Maybe you can blame your parents
Yeah.
because they're the ones who made you.
And so I don't like good mornings. I don't like a handful of those things. So I have something like the Hyper Pro from Freak Athlete where I can do back extensions, Nordics,
Mhm.
GHDs, that kind of stuff. And then I add in some cable attachment stuff for leg curls and whatever.
You know,
And
when
they're
it, when it comes to that exercise selection, it's literally an ROI,
yep.
your return on investment. And it's like if you have a company and you've got 10 employees, but seven of them are just sitting in a corner not doing anything, why do you have them?
Yep.
You know, if it's just for looks, okay, that's cool, I get it. But if you're really focused on the training, focused on the results, focused on
Yep.
the outcome, get rid of that dead weight,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's really that simple. And that's why when it comes to the designing of stuff, take the triads for example. I could have easily made just a regular dumbbell.
Sure.
I could have made a regular dumbbell with a fat grip,
Yeah.
but those do not offer the versatility that the triad design
Sure.
offers. Now, obviously, it's not for everybody.
Yep.
Some people look at it and don't get it, and that's cool. But can you? What's the ROI on those things? The versatility that they provide is huge. Now, if they just sat in the corner and I didn't use them, then obviously they're not for me,
Yeah.
no matter how great they might be.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So you mentioned the transformer bar earlier, right? So I've had a discussion with people over the years and they go, "Well, it does all these different options." And I go,
Mhm.
"Yeah." And they go, "Doesn't that make it like the best safety squat bar?" And I go, "No." And they're like, "Well, but you with a normal safety squat bar, you can only do like one thing." And I go, "Okay, well, let's set aside that you could do box squats and front squats and back squats and bands and chains, whatever. Let's just say, yeah, you can only squat with it." I go, "How many variations of squats do you need
Mhm.
with a bar? And how many are you gonna use?"
You, yep.
And I go, because it's a cool idea. And if you
Mhm.
could only squat with a bar like that, that would give you a lot of opportunities to every week do something different, but still use a bar. But if you can front squat with a normal bar and back squat with a normal bar and do that, and you have a cambered bar and you have like, how many, like, I don't know that I need 16 squat variations. And
Well,
it's,
to the transformer bar, I think the best way for people to look at it, or at least it's how I look at it. It is one of the best.
yeah,
It doesn't make it the best. There
yeah,
is no the best.
yeah,
If it works great for you, mazel tov.
yeah,
Happy squatting. But if it just doesn't sit right, doesn't feel right, doesn't perform right, and you like the one from Prime,
yep,
or you like the one from Elite FTS,
yep,
or you like this, that, or the other
yep,
one, and that one works best for you, go for that one.
yep.
There is no, if you ask people, what's the best knife in the world? How many people would say the Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, yeah,
Just because it does 100 things doesn't
yeah,
mean it does them well.
yeah,
And therein lies the balance between designing a product that sells on paper versus designing a product that performs in the real world.
yep, yep. Yeah, I had that same discussion, exact same thing with the Swiss Army knife piece with cable attachments.
Mhm.
A couple of guys at my place one time were like, "Well, uh, you know, did you see the one that just came out from? I think it was Uclips made one that
Yep.
is like kind of like a mag handle, but it also is a deadlift jack, and it'll
Yep.
go on your landmine bar and a couple of different things." And I was like, they're like, "Isn't that probably like one of the best ones for most people?" And I go, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what most people need. I go, I can tell you for me that that won't ever enter my gym. And I
Yep.
said, and that's not a knock on it as a he could sell a billion of them and I
Yep.
still won't own it because it's not what I want. I
Yeah. Well,
want 8 different mag grips that have a different angle to each
yep.
one and a different width and a different option because I'm going to mix them in various ways to hit my back because I want a back attachment that does exactly what I want it to do exactly when I want it to. So,
How many screwdrivers do people own?
yeah.
Are they someone that has the one with the removable bits sitting in the
Yeah.
kitchen drawer, or do
Yeah.
they have a toolbox with 100 different ones?
Yeah.
Both solutions work. It just has the question is, does it work for you? And
Yeah.
let's circle this back to the transformer before we get to the next question. Takeover Strength, we've just teased and we'll be pre-selling the strap bar very soon. The strap bar is basically the handle section of the transformer bar, and you fit the squat saddle pad on there.
Okay.
The idea behind it is if you want to have that position and that comfort on a Smith machine, just using your straight bar because you don't have
Sure.
room for a safety squat bar, you want to use it with your functional trainer or your smart gym. This is an option that allows you to make squats and other kind of lower body centric movements more comfortable and probably safer because you're in that stronger position.
Yeah.
If you're going to say, I want to do, squats, 500-pound squats with a safety squat bar, don't buy the strap bar. It's not for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
This is for the other 99% of the
Yep.
population,
Yep.
right?
Yep. 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 Yeah.
Every tool has its place. It just has to be used properly and in the right way,
Yep.
like in the right situation.
Yep. Yeah. I'm currently using a squat bar from Xmark, and I've got my Texas deadlift bar, and I'll have a video in a couple of months that'll discuss like, do you need a squat, like a dedicated squat bar, dedicated deadlift bar? And intro is basically going to go no, and then just move on, right? Then I'll come back and go, okay, well, let's talk about this a little bit, because 99% of people don't, right? Like the statistics don't lie. Most people don't squat over 500 pounds.
I would say
Most,
most don't squat over 200.
yeah, right. And so at a certain point, having a squat bar, you go, you like, I mean, you can own one because it's
Yeah.
cool, right? No issues there. But the need versus want piece is a very different discussion too on some of that stuff. So,
How many cars do you need?
yep.
How many of the same car do you need in different colors?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah. All right, man. Let's go on to number 4. So you've been around for a long time. We talked a little bit about your training. You talked a little bit about how it's changed. So what does that look like, and what insights can you share for people who maybe currently are just smashing it, and what their life might look like in 20 years or 30 or whatever?
wow. One of the analogies, and I love analogies because they usually bring a point home better for
Yep.
people, is how long can you drive your car with your foot on the gas the whole time? How long will that car go? You, some people can get away with it.
Sure.
Some cars, you'll never break the car,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it's an ugly car, if that matters.
Yeah.
But some cars won't break, but most cars do.
Yeah.
And most human bodies break.
Yeah.
It just takes pressure and time. The sad part is we don't have knowledge of what that is early on.
Yeah.
There was a reason the saying of kids are made of rubber,
Yeah.
because they are.
It
They
just
can run full
bounce.
steam in,
They get back up and yeah.
right? They run full steam into a wall and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And as fast forward 50, 60, 70 years and people can't get out of a chair without pulling a muscle.
Yeah.
I would love for people to learn from the mistakes I've made, because I did training stuff in the past, kind of shortcutted or skipped warm up altogether.
Yeah.
Definitely regret that.
Yeah.
Not realizing that recovery work should actually be viewed as a workout.
Yeah.
For example, I think one of the most underrated, underappreciated guys in this space in this industry is Donnie Thompson.
Sure.
His techniques have helped myself, but also personal training clients that I've had over the years overcome physical issues that most healthcare practitioners were going to solve with either knives or pills,
Yeah.
right? Incorporate that stuff now because it'll make your lifting career so much better down the road.
Yeah.
And hey, don't believe me now. You may think I'm a douchebag, I'm an asshole, I'm all these things. That's fine. That doesn't hurt my feelings. Um, but trust me, if you don't do that stuff now, you're going to wish you had later.
Sure.
This kind of goes to our offline conversation earlier about getting your estate and your will stuff
Yeah.
lined up. Right? There's no one gets out alive. Everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
You don't prepare for that as best you can now, you or your loved ones will have to deal with that chaos
Yeah.
after, right? So let's go into the training. Uh, the training has gone from bodybuilder, meathead, let's see if I can front squat 300, which I did 315. Yay for me. To now, I'm just happy to be lifting.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have found a way that I can lift and get that therapy, which is as much mental as it is physical, without creating downtime by triggering old injuries or conditions.
Yeah. My favorite line from Donnie was, and I'm sure he said this in a few different ways, but somebody asked him about, it was some like NFL player or something had gotten injured. And the question was like, what's the best way to recover from a adductor strain, something, whatever? And his answer was, don't get hurt in the first place. And, and I went, yeah, that's very similar to answers I've given over the years. People have asked me like, oh, what advice do you have for people who are trying to get into a healthy habit of lifting when they've got, kids and a spouse and work and stuff. And I go, start lifting 10 years ago before you have all that stuff. And they look at me and I go, I know that's not helpful, but like legitimately, I don't know. I don't know how you would do any of those things, right? And
Yeah.
the sooner you can start all of that before you need it, the
Mm-hmm.
better off you'll be.
Well, an ounce of prevention is a pound of cure. Isn't
Yep.
that one of the sayings?
Yep.
But when it comes to the injury stuff, I think it's really important for people to understand that in most cases, it is not a catastrophic in the moment issue. It is an accumulation
Yeah.
over time. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about pressure and time,
Yeah.
right? You can chip away at your connective tissue
Yeah.
over 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're doing something and you tear something.
Yeah.
Don't blame that moment.
Yeah.
Blame the past much more.
You ever see Kelly Starrett's answer to that one, where he goes, the amount of people that throw out their back picking up a pencil or a pillow, and he goes, man, that must have been a really heavy pencil, right? And he's like, disregard the fact that you've spent 40 hours a week for the last 15 years sitting in a crummy office chair that cost your company $13, right?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like that has nothing to do with it, ignore the fact that you slept on a bed that's so soft, you're in this weird, bent position the whole time.
Yep.
Ignore the fact that you haven't lifted or moved right or eaten quality food or been hydrated for the last decade, right? So it was clearly the pencil that threw your back out, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. And I hate to sound like one of those old guys who used to, you'd kind of roll your eyes at when you were the young guy in the gym,
yeah.
watching the old guys do all this warm up. And meanwhile, you're the young guy and you roll in there and starts, clanging and banging. And it's like, it'll get you. The bill
Yeah.
comes due one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, uh I had a discussion with someone at one point. I was in my 20s And I think there was an article on something like this at one point on T Nation, but they talked about how you've got like two different lifters. One is Superman and one is Batman. And the idea was that Superman, like nothing hurts him until he's completely immobilized,
Yeah.
right? And then the other one is Batman, which is like he's just a normal dude and has to do all these things to raise him up. And so I remember a guy in the gym with me was just a natural, just freak athlete. Dude was like a buck 80, and I don't know that you could find a speck of fat on him any day of the week while he's deadlifting 600 and all kinds of stuff. Just a monster of a human being. But he also deadlifted like a fishing pole, right? Like it'd be
Yep.
kind of thing the whole way up. And I remember watching him just going, my back would shoot across the gym at 25 if I tried to do that, right? And the good news was, like, I reflected on that and went, okay, he can do that now and he can be a superhuman for as long as his body will allow that. But at
Hmm.
some point, it's not gonna, right?
Yep.
He won't have any of the warning signs though, because his body is built however it is. And at some point, he's going to go from superhuman to not, right?
Yep.
And then he's going to go, what happened? Whereas I got all the warning signs, right?
Yep.
I move a little bit weird, and my body told me, hey, we didn't like that one. I sleep a little weird. Hey, don't do that again, right? I skip a meal. Hey, nope, we're not going to do that. And
Yep.
I learned over the course of decades of all the little stuff that I got to do at the right times in the right order and whatever to continue to move the needle. And
Yep.
so I'm like, all right, while it would be nice to be that sometimes, I will take the learning over the course of time and continuing to move forward approach, I think, over the alternative. So,
Everybody's a light bulb.
yeah.
Some run on a dimmer, some run on a toggle, and some get too much juice, they explode.
Nice. I like that analogy. That was good. All right, so let's wrap it up. Great chat. I
Yep.
think we could go on for quite a while. So the last one is, so your AMA is coming up in a few weeks.
Yep.
Tell me one reason why people should be excited about that.
Hmm. Maybe they shouldn't be excited. I don't know. I don't consider myself exciting. One of the questions when I get into philosophical conversations with people is I ask them, "How do you want to be remembered?"
Okay,
And when I answer my own question is, I don't want to be.
sure.
I don't. That's not important to me. So maybe they should be excited. Maybe they shouldn't. But I think probably more than most, I will answer
Yeah.
any question given, and let's not get silly or stupid or waste anyone's time. I'm good with comedy,
Yeah.
but there's enough
Who's
negativity in the world. We don't need to be silly about it.
okay? No. Who's your favorite Spice Girl? You're not
Yeah,
gonna.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
None of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will also answer any of those questions. I just can't guarantee that people will like the answer.
Sure. I
It's
think that's
just
fair.
it's my opinion based on my experiences and the things I've been exposed to in my life, whether it
Yep.
be in lifting or outside of lifting.
Yep. Perfect. Cool. So, I mean, what I would add to that for anybody is if you've listened, you probably have a good sense of we've got 40 plus years of, gym knowledge and experience. You've got the mind behind, a couple of different companies. You've got insights into commercial gym equipment as well as personal home gym stuff and bodybuilding and lifting and all kinds of stuff. So this is a brain that if you want to learn a few things, you can, ask a good question.
And someone, not to sidetrack it, someone who's written 2 books about death.
Oh,
So
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. For everyone listening, we talked for about 10 minutes before I hit record about death. So that
yeah,
was, yeah. So,
my favorite topic.
there you go. Yeah. So, yeah. So come in, be ready for whatever questions you have, whether it's gym related or not. Derek's
Yep.
going to answer them. And I think it should be an insightful discussion, especially with everything that went around Kabuki and what's going on now, and your unique designs with HAVAK, and how those two are maybe two different companies, and what your roles are, and the whole deal. So
Yep.
I'm excited to see what everyone's questions are and what your answers are, and learn some stuff. So I think other people will be too. Uh,
Let's do it.
Cool, man. Great chat. That will be it. In the description, I will leave details for the AMA, how you can find out more on the stuff Derek's doing, as well as join the AMA and ask the questions and all that good stuff. So check that out, and we'll see Derek in a couple weeks over on Reddit Our Home Gym for his AMA.
Cool.
All right, guys. See ya.